Start the recording. This is the finance meeting done by Zoom as required by the current crisis and allowed by the state. We'll start with approval of the minutes. Thank you, Peg, for the minutes of 9:30. I will move to approve those minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Peg Coniff.
Aye.
And Rich says aye. Mayor, do you have anything to communicate other than what's on the agenda?
No.
Okay. And there's no public here. Well, we'll start with the budget, but I needed Val for both of these things, so we'll do the best we can. I'm going to share the screen, the document that was provided to us for this. Does everybody have this?
Yep.
Everybody sees that?
Yep.
So, Jen, I'm just going to ask you first. Mm-hmm. The original budget for the library was $560,320 and change. We had to add a $3,000 to this budget because it was less than the minimum required by state law for support for the library. And as I understand it, this was due to the fact that at the time the budget was written, it was a budget that was the same as last year. I lost my thinking on what that word is. And you did not have the figures for this year's requirements for the state. So we put in 560, and you did receive word that the state requirement is 563, so you've gone out to get some donation. There is a donation to the library from Williston that we've had in the past. As I understand it, they decided to designate that to public safety. But I also understand that your donation, that donation money was going to be used for next year's budget. So I'll get to you in a minute, Nicole. Jen, okay. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, yes and no. Yes, when I came on, Val and I had spoken about how the way that the library budget was being funded, it's been that we rely on that year's donation from Williston to supplement it. But then there have been years where we were waiting, you know, and hoping that it was going to come in, and it did. But the problem being is that, you know, it really looked like if it didn't come in, it would have looked like there was a deficit. But that said, this year, Williston did donate, but they required it to be put towards specific public safety, continuing education, I believe it was. So we couldn't use it for the library. And what I think the word you were looking for before was level funded. Yeah. So when we went in, everything across the board was level funded. And the thing is that with the library, like, I don't know how to say this. Like, you don't. If we match, if our appropriation is, the formula is like at least, at the very least, the average of the prior 3 years increased by 2.5%. But that's the recommendation so that they get full state support. There are communities that don't get certified, and they're, you know, it's kind of like up to the community individually. Regardless, we always, you know, strive to do what we can for the library. And so it was just a matter of the difference between 2020 and 21 was $3,000. And knowing that that $10,000 from Williston was earmarked elsewhere, yes, I spoke with Westfield Bank and secured the additional $3,000 so that we would be whole and they wouldn't have to jump through hoops to get the state money that they could.
I imagine we have to first accept the donation and then change the budget. I'll let the mayor speak now, and I'll ask that question of Val in a second. Mayor.
Yes. So one, I mean, the $10,000 from Williston is exactly that. It's a gift, and it's actually the gift that when we did get that from Williston, was never earmarked to the library. It's just by practice we would use that $10,000 to give the library less than the recommended amount to get state funding. So the community, through the budget for several years, has decided not to fully fund the library to get that state match, and Williston filled that gap, but it was a gift. So this year, what Williston did was they gave a gift directly to the library, and then $10,000 additional dollars for professional development. Because that $10,000 that Williston usually gives us, and only does so, it's a gift. It's not, it's a gift. For us to actually continue to put that in our budget and cross our fingers and assume we'd get it, I think is a not fair dealing with the library. I strongly feel that we, in this coming budget, need to make the library whole. And if they get a contribution from Williston, fantastic. But they shouldn't have to sweat where we're getting $10,000 to make up what the library amount is for them to get state funding. So I just want to make that super, super clear. And I would say that us taking the responsibility, on from the community and the library, we, especially now, the city, it's the right thing to do, is to fully fund the library and to that, fully fund, I should say, pay to the library out of city coffers and budget for that last 3 years average plus 2.5%.
Okay. Peg, do you have any questions?
No. Can you remind me, or anyone, not necessarily you, the mayor, so this $10,000 gift, typically we had been giving it to the library to fill a gap to get to the state minimum. This year we're using it for public safety? Is that, or training of public safety people?
So to clarify, the $10,000 from Williston for professional development actually came with a very specific directive of what it should be used to. So usually it was like we've received a general gift, and this year we got $10,000. Williston gave us $10,000 towards professional development. Of
whom?
There was a list of basically some department heads, and we're applying that money to work around the mayor's pledge and supporting the CRC.
Okay.
Anything else, Peg?
Yeah.
Otherwise, Val? You unmuted yourself. You muted yourself, Val. I had already unmuted you.
Okay.
There you
I
go.
had asked the mayor not to include the 10,000 in the 21 budget because I explained to her that every year we're waiting at the end of the year, and it's been coming in later and later. And it originally, I think, goes back to Mayor Mike many, many years ago. And they wanted to do a donation, but they didn't want to give it directly to the city. So I think somehow it got agreed it would go to the library every year. We've gotten it every year for a long time, but it's been, like I said, coming in later and later. And so I was concerned that if it didn't come in by June 30th and we had budgeted for it, we were going to take the hit for it. And actually that is exactly what happened. It did come in this past year, but when it came in late. And it came in that they decided they wanted it to go somewhere else. So we took the hit for fiscal year 20 for $10,000 for the library because we didn't get the check for the library. So I had hoped to avoid it in 21, but it happened in 20. So, yeah. And the library, the amount that you have to meet, a lot of towns don't give them the total amount, but you have to fill out a waiver. And the library board allows you to fill out that waiver for 10 years. And then once the 10 years are up, it goes back up as if you had never had a waiver and you increased it every year. So you don't really gain a lot by not giving them the budget, because sooner or later you have to pay. So.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank Jen for getting this donation. That's fantastic. Mayor Nicole.
I would just say it was, certainly in 19 and 20, I incorrectly assumed that $10,000, if it came in because it was a gift, was above and beyond that contribution of the last 3 years plus 2.5%. Again, I feel that the $10,000 or that gift or where I put that money is technically discretionary, and we underfund our library for, I feel, the value it serves to the community. So a waiver for 10 years or whatnot is really, yet again, kicking a can down the road around community literacy, but also partnership. So I guess I'm laying the groundwork of my up and coming budget will actually fully fund the library with no expectation of a gift.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Okay.
Omar, do you have any questions? I'm going to make a motion that includes both of these items. Val, one thing I think before this Wednesday, we're going to do these. I need a request for the donation to be accepted, do I not, like we normally do?
Well, I was planning on using the same account. I have a library donation account.
Oh, I see.
That I've been using for the Williston money. So I was just going to use the same account.
Yes, and those donations are accepted because you have to create the account. So we don't have to approve.
You've already accepted.
We have to approve an account. Okay, and you already have.
Yeah, we already have one.
Okay, thank you. Jen, debt and interest, do you have anything to say on that? I assume it probably is Val, but do you have anything first?
Actually, it's the reason that we're revising this has to do with the refunding that I did at the end of June. Obviously, when the budget was done, we had spoken about refunding and we're planning to do it. Then COVID hit and it was put off because the market dipped initially, and so we wanted to make sure that we were still doing it for the benefit of the budget. And so when all was said and done, the rate was significantly lower on the refunded bonds. So that is why this is a reduction.
And Val, this is a 1-year reduction, but it sounds like it's reduced every year, right? I mean, this 114, is this something that we're going to see in essence every year because we rebonded? There's a lower interest rate, so to speak? I asked Val that question on.
Yeah, it was refinanced at a lower rate. So, and we discussed this at the time we got permission to do the refinance, that it's going to have a lower rate every year going forward. And the reason we have to revote this right now is because it's excluded debt. So what happened was now our debt exclusion is lower. That means our tax levy is lower. We can't raise as much money, so we have to reduce the budget.
So the taxpayers are paying less this year.
Yes.
Oh, I think they'll be happy about that.
Yeah.
Jen, did you have something to add?
I was pretty much just going to say kind of what Val did, which is this is the only year we should have to do this as a separate entry, because now going forward, like when I do the budget for fiscal 22, I will know what the payment will be for this. So I'll
what I was referring to, it's $114,000 for whatever's left on the term, which is 19 years. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She, we were given a savings sheet, and if you give me 1 second, it's pretty good savings. So let me share it with you.
I'll ask Peg if she has any questions while you're looking for that.
Okay.
No questions, Peg?
No, I enjoy a reduction in
Taxes?
interest.
I think it's important. I hope we can notify the residents, so they're getting a slight reduction. Of course, they'll probably complain anyway, but still, it's great.
There will be something. They're all
Omar or the mayor, do you have anything on this? No?
No.
okay. So sorry. Overall, the total savings that we're looking at over the life of the refinance is $1.3 million.
That's real money.
Yes, it is.
So Val, I should, at the public hearing on Wednesday, I should read these as they are, just because we're changing the budget, correct? I have to read these?
Yeah.
For tonight,
I don't think you have to redo the whole budget, but I would,
no, I'm just gonna do these two.
right. And you might want to mention the new total. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna read it. This is the new total, like here, for culture and recreation.
The whole
Right.
new total, though, Dan, of the entire budget change of
The 47 million.
287,465.
Oh, I got you, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, if I don't, let me know. Well, I'm gonna
Because
read these two as the motion. I will mention, I guess,
Yes.
whatever. I think these are the changes, and I'll mention the new budget total is this, but as
Yeah.
part of the record, I guess. Okay, good. I'm just gonna make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the treasurer and the auditor to change section 6, cultural recreation, with an additional $3,000 to the library budget, and debt and interest with a reduction of $114,471.53.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Coniff?
Aye.
Councilor Riss says aye. Motion passes. Wednesday night, we'll need you for that. The next thing we're doing is, I did put it on here, the department revolving account. Let me get to it, please. I know where it is. You guys see it, help me out here, I'm blind.
Without.
Up or down? Okay. As I understand this, and people can explain it further, we need a revolving account because we are gaining income from the EV chargers. My biggest question is, how much do we charge when you charge your car? Greg, anybody? Jen?
I honestly, I don't have an actual figure for you, but I do know that I spoke with Cassie at length about this, and we started off where we're going with, I think it's Charge Point, I think is the name of the company. We're going with their recommended fees to start, just because we really don't know what the usage level will be. And this will be set up so that the money we take in will be used to pay the expenses associated with the chargers. So that said, we weren't comfortable just kind of throwing a number out there. We figured if we use their pricing for the first, say, 6 months and then evaluate the usage, we'll be able to, then we can determine if it's something that we don't want to use them for collection for anymore, and if we want to just do it in-house and change the price.
There is a cost, of course, of having an outside contractor do the work for you.
Right.
So Greg, your department, you're the one that operates this, maintains those, as well as administers the dollars?
We're moving it from planning to DPW now, just so we can handle the electric bills that come in and ongoing maintenance with the chargers being there.
And you'll be able to isolate these costs in case anybody asks next year, so we can see how they're doing?
Yep, they'll be their own standalone entity, like their own little enterprise.
All right. Okay. And all of this is the legality of how to establish the revolving account, correct, Val?
Yeah.
Is what we have to do. And I thought I saw, is there a specific motion? This motion is what I have to read?
Hang on.
You have to first.
Peg has questions. I'm not reading the motion yet, Peg.
No, I know, but in here it speaks to FY 2020. Should it be 2021?
Oh, yeah.
All throughout the document, it talks about fiscal year 2020.
July 1st, 2020, which is fiscal year 21.
Right.
The fiscal year is wrong. The date is right.
Correct. Yeah.
So this should be 20 right here, 21. You see my cursor?
But all throughout the document, Dan, that's not the only place.
Yeah.
Does that need to be revised for the record?
It should say fiscal year 21, and then it should say starting July 1st of 20.
I guess you should start, whoever gave me this document needs to change all those dates so that it's on the record correctly, if you would. Is that you, Val, or Jen?
Well, I did the original one. I don't know who did the final version, but yeah.
I just asked that for Wednesday so that the proper dates, and I'll read this motion. Is that what I should read? Except I'll say
you have to first accept the ordinance and then do the motion. Because they changed the law now. In order to have a revolving, you have to have an ordinance saying that you're accepting revolving accounts.
Oh, and that's why this was originally going to
Yes, and then every year you do the motion for the cap.
Would you mind?
Usually with the budget.
Would you mind sending me the motions you need me to do? Just type them up for Wednesday.
Well, I believe that verbiage is the motion to do the ordinance. I don't know.
This one here?
No.
That's the account, isn't it?
The document before that is the ordinance. All right. Yeah, I guess you can type something up to just say we accept the ordinance.
We're accepting this general law here. Chapter 44. Okay. Seems straightforward. I just want to make sure I did the right thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Jen?
I just wanted to mention that I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Jeff Bagg, or at least someone in his department, is the one who, made edits to this after Val had created the original one. So I don't know if, since he's not on the call, I don't know if we want to, make sure that he gets this back to change the fiscal year, or if not, I don't know, Greg, if you want it to come to your department, but what I'm saying is he's not on the call, so I don't want us all to just say, yeah, it needs to be fixed, and then it doesn't get fixed.
Okay. If it's in Jeff's computer, I will ask Jeff to repair it and talk to Val if he needs to know what needs to be repaired. But it sounds like fiscal year 2021 is what has to change. Beginning July 1st, 2020 is okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Wherever it is in the document. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else, Peg? Omar? No? I'll make a motion that we accept the ordinance for Mass General Laws 44, Section 53E.5, and establish the revolving account as requested by the city planner and the Department of Public Works.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Coniff?
Aye.
Councilor Riss says aye. So let's move on. I'm going to go, before we review the fiscal reports, I'm going to go to salaries and stipends. You saw what I sent you today. I'll put those up. Oh, I should have kept those. All right. Where'd they go? So these are the ordinances. And this is what we talked about last time. I would like to set a public hearing for these for November 18th. And I just ask if this is where, am I on target for what we talked about last time? Councilor Coniff?
I believe you are, yep.
And just to reiterate, this is good. It tells you when the last time we amended the salary for the mayor was 2014. So, which effectively began at the beginning of that. That's 10 years. If we did 3%, this actually comes out to a 2% raise over the 10 years of the, because it's $1,500 a year on 75,000. That's what I'm going to bring up for that particular position. And down here, we added the president of the council shall be 4,500. Any discussion on this, Omar? You okay with this? Okay. So, for Val and Jen's sake, if this is passed, your July 1, 2021 budget has to include half of these. That's what we were going on because it's only half a fiscal year where it starts. Omar.
When you say half of this, include half of the school committee new salary?
Half of all of these salaries.
The increase,
okay. $15,000 increase, half of the increases.
Okay.
So it's 7,500, 1,000. Okay?
Yep.
For the particular budget year is all I'm saying. So it doesn't go up in a lot. By virtue of the law, it kind of spreads this out over 2 years. Okay. Val, yes?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, you can just vote a supplemental appropriation from free cash for the rest of 21.
Well, no, this will be in the budget. It'll be in the 21.
And 22. Oh, that, okay.
The 22 budget. That's what.
Right, but for January, okay, all right. So it's not until next year.
The increase was included in the budget we approved in June of 21.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't, it's not effective until January 2nd, of course, but.
Okay.
Because that's when the new terms begin for all of these elected officials. Okay. Anything else, Peg? Anybody?
Nope.
I move we accept the salary recommendations for elected officials as presented by the Finance Committee.
Second?
Any further discussion? Councilor Coniff?
Aye.
Councilor Riss says yes. I will bring these to the attention of the full council, and I'll set a public hearing for the 18th. Madam President, does that make sense?
It does, yes.
You know about public hearings, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The last thing we have on our agenda is the reports from the city auditor. Val, I saw the free cash report. That's excellent. And Jen, I saw the new cherry sheets. I'd just like to ask the mayor, or well, she's gone. Great. Jen, as you looked at the cherry sheet that the governor put out, and I know it's not the final thing, the legislature is going to come up with their own. How does that look compared to our budget and what we anticipated from the state? Or is that a Val question? Whoever wants to answer it.
That's actually, yeah, Val is the one who does the revenue side of the budget. So I'll defer to her on that.
Val.
So I had underestimated enough that some of my estimates were below the state estimates. The school choice, some of the appropriations like the school choice and the school payments that we make on the cherry sheet were increased a little. So it kind of worked out pretty good. I changed the new estimates to the state numbers. And I revised the local receipts a little bit to make it all work. But I mean, we underestimated enough that we're fine.
So if that revenue is more than we expected, that becomes free cash next year.
Some of it, yeah, the chapter 70 and the undesignated. I think the undesignated was right about what I estimated. Chapter 70 was a little more, I think, a couple of the other items. I'd have to look at each item, but it was all right around the same ballpark. And even though the assessments went up a little, a couple of them were still fine because I had conservatively estimated those too. So I kind of overestimated on a couple of them. It all worked out exactly fine. So we're good.
So this is requiring legislative approval, of course. But given what you just said, the budget should be able to be maintained. We were all concerned the state was not going to give us any money or give us a lot less, millions less. But it doesn't sound like the governor's proposing anything like that.
So, yeah, we're fine.
I mean, she left. I was going to ask the mayor if she heard anything about the legislature's thinking, but.
Yeah, she left, Dan, because of the discussion around stipends and conflict of interest, so.
Oh, I should have did this first.
And we still have another round before the tax recap is done, but that happens every year. So it won't change a lot. And I did take a look at the September, even though I don't have all the receipts for September yet, I took a look at what's happening and a lot of things came in, like the meals tax and the marijuana money. So we should be at like about 25% in September, and we're just about there. So for now,
revenues look good.
Yeah, for now we're fine. You know, who knows what'll happen later on this year, but no, things are good.
We always like reports like that. In fact, I'm going to make it a rule that you can only give us reports where you say things are good.
Yeah.
You have to say things are bad. We don't want that report.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Omar or Peg, on information that we got free cash after we deduct the 700,000 or so? We have about 2.3 million, right, in there, or 2.2 million in free cash. I know there's some enterprise fund retained earnings coming our way too. So,
Val, could I ask a question that's semi-related / unrelated? For the city council budget, is there a way that I can get the itemization of where we are? And I know it's in there, but here's where I'm going with this. I think we're going to go over because of a lot of advertisements and a lot of extra meetings that the city council has had. So the clerk will need to get paid more than we had thought. However, because we had a city councilor resignation, and maybe this is not really part of well, it kind of is. Can that money be used to augment the gap we may find with the clerk? Can we use the excess city councilor salary? You know what I'm saying?
Right now, it's a different department, so it would be a transfer, a departmental transfer, an interdepartmental transfer.
Okay.
If you were to wait until May and June, then the mayor would be able to do it at the end of the year, transfer within the budget general government.
Okay.
But right now, it's an interdepartmental transfer and would have a council approval.
And do you see that before I need to request it? Like, will you come to me and go, Peg, you've run out of money? Is that kind of how it'll work?
Yeah, we give Barbara monthly expenditure reports, so she'd see it.
Okay. All right. I think she's given me the signal that there's going to be a mismatch. So we may have to take a look at that.
We may have to, I don't know. Is she allowed to incur a deficit in like her advertising budget all the way up until the end of the fiscal year? Or do we have to put money in that before when she runs out, Val?
It's really a bottom line revenue expenditure salary budget. So we don't get shook up if one of the line items is in deficit. As long as the bottom line of all her expenses is positive, we don't worry about it.
Okay.
So maybe that salary money will be there anyway at the end of the year.
Okay.
And the mayor could do an intra-departmental transfer between salary and expense too, if need be.
Okay. So I don't need to worry right now and start selling off, parts of my home and things like that. Okay, good. That's good to know.
Does the city own your home? Gosh.
Well, I'll do what I
We just got
can.
$1 million in assets there. All right. I don't think we have anything else. The next meeting, I think, will be let me get my calendar up. Just a second. I think I'm going to want one for the 2nd of November, which is a Monday, because we have council meetings in October on the 28th and the 21st. I have a CPA meeting on the 29th. So does the 2nd of November work? It is a Monday. That's because we are going to get the appropriation for the free cash change for the cannabis revenue.
Yep.
And I'd like to set a public hearing for that.
Are you going to set the public hearing for the 18th on that one too, Dan?
I can. There's no rush for that, is there, Val? I mean,
We have a lot on the 18th. That's
No,
all.
I just wanted to make sure it got in before people started hitting the free cash.
so we could do it on the 4th. Tomorrow, we're getting it tomorrow. I can send it to finance and I can make it the 4th. It's a very quick one if you're worried about the 18th. Okay.
I think we have a couple of things on the 4th too, but
Well, it's quick. It's going to be,
I'll figure it out. Yeah. Yep, it's a quickie.
I'm going to make it the 4th unless you tell me anyway. All right, so we're going to meet on the 2nd. Is everybody okay with that? Put that in your calendars. So far, the only thing I've seen on our agenda is the free cash to cannabis adjustment. So thank you all. Have a good evening.
Did you want to do a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I think, Jen, before we adjourn, Jen had her hand up. No?
I think she was waving.
I was just waving goodbye.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
Councilor Coniff,
Aye.
and I will say aye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Peg, I was going to mention that I'll do these minutes if you want.
I'm almost done. You'll be getting them momentarily.
If you're going to be that fast, I'm never going to volunteer. That's not fair. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you all. I'll see you.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good evening. I'll see you all
Bye, Greg.
Wednesday.